What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, guys? I'm going to do a quick session today. Give everyone a second to hop on in. It's Friday. Got some music going. Cracked open a nice beer. What a long week. Bulls with the roar into close. We'll talk through it. Lots of volatility, but a lot of smiles into close here probably on Wall Street. Big close on the week. Get some questions ready. We'll do some Q&A. We'll get the session short. Not going to be an hour session. Going to be about 20, 30 minutes max. If you guys are planning your sort of afternoons here, but get started in a minute or two. Just quickly post on social media. Let's get it going. And we will get all up in there, and we will have a good session, guys. Okay. Okay, let's see what we got. What's going on, Jeremy, Sunshine, Pablo, Jesse? How are you guys doing? Good. Happy to help you guys out. 12 viewers. Let's get going here. I'm going to say live here. We got a live session. And we will get moving. Okay, everyone's starting to slowly trickle in now. Quickly do this. We'll get started. Usually there's about 100 people that start right away, and then we'll get moving. Shane, what's going on? I'm not sure. It might just be a Webull rule, Shane. I'm not sure. Lousy rule, but probably from a risk management standpoint, they don't want people opening positions after 2 p.m. and options on the same day expiration. CK53, what's going on? Jeep Life, how are we? We get started in a second here, guys. Finding Freestyle, thanks for joining. Hello. Internet Explorer, how are we? Like the intro music? Good. I like it, good. Long week. I think people needed to smile a little bit, loosen up. It's been a crazy week. Awesome. So, just cracked open a beer today. Today was a wild day. First off, this is Spud from Spud Zone. If you guys haven't heard, or you guys are joining from StockTwits or Webull or wherever you're coming from social media-wise, wherever you follow me, if you're a premium user, premium student, premium member, that's Spud Zone Discord, Spud Zone Discord LLC. You can check us in the link in the bio on YouTube. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a retail trader. I trade full-time for a living. I've been doing this for years. I'm here to help and coach as many folks as I possibly can. And I work around the clock to try and find some of the best plays for myself, for others, and hopefully sharing some of my ideas help you out, whether you're investing long-term, short trading, or whether you're just looking to make a couple dollars, or whether you're just looking to learn how to trade. Great place to learn, great place to earn, and so highly recommend checking out the Discord. Today's session gonna be short. 3 topics. I'm going to go over my $27,000 green day today, trading on a very small account, about $25,000 starter account. As many know, I took out 7 figures last year. And so, I'm starting fresh. My goal is to probably get it to about $1 million. On this account challenge, we've done 15,000 to 2 million already. That was completed. That was successful, about 18, 19 months runtime. And we're going to see what we can do at 25,000 in this choppy market. I don't suspect it's going to be that quick. I don't suspect it's going to be that easy. It's going to be very difficult, challenging, and maneuvering. But what I do say right now going on with these markets, guys, there's so much volatility. And I preach this to everyone in the channels. I preach this on social media. Volatility equals percentage growth. And what I mean by that is this volatility is a day trader's dream. There's so much range going on. You're seeing large caps move 2 to 8% a day. And that equates to, hundreds of percentages on the option side of things. You could slam puts for 200%. You could buy calls at the bottom for 200%. I mean, that's how much range we're getting, guys. There's a lot of opportunity in these markets. A lot of people are scared. everything's going down. But guess what? I'm not being scared. I'm just saying, it's free money on the downside. Let's ride it down. And then, when you start to see a bottom base forming, let's try and take some dab at riding it back up. And so that's what you're kind of seeing going on. You're seeing a lot of volatility, a lot of confused. You're seeing big money come out. You're seeing big money come in. There was billions and billions of dollars traded there in the last couple minutes of SPY. I don't know if that was shorts covering. I don't know if it was index funds taking small positions. I don't know what it was. But there was a lot of buying there. My trade thesis for today was buy the red dip. I think we're going to go green. Apple had a stellar performance on their earnings yesterday. Honestly, just blew out. I couldn't believe it. They hit everywhere. Bottom line, top line. They blew out everything, Apple. Every single product. I was beyond shocked. Beyond shocked. Even with the chip shortage, I thought there would be a stallment. I mean, they just, there's no words for it. They literally blew it out of the water. It was up 5% today. Wall Street clearly showed the love for that one. And then I said, you know what? That might give some people a little bit of hope. There's hope left off the hopium train. And you know, we saw a red to green move today. I alerted right in the morning. I said, let's ride bottom dips. Let's take high-risk lotto calls for today. I think we could get some movement. Started with the QQQ this morning. I scalped about 58% there. It ran for 250%. Maybe and to close it probably ran for about 500%. Excuse me. It ran for about 250% in the morning. Left a lot on the table, but I'm not being greedy. As I said, small account, trying to build up. That was a scalp number one. I'm going to talk through this all on the charts. We'll dive in there. My trades today were on QQQ, 2 or 3 scalps on Coinbase, and then one on AMD, and I'm going to talk through the AMD one. That one was pretty solid, pretty easy trade setup. And really, guys, there wasn't a whole bunch of losing trades today. It was just mainly just some solid wins. And I'm just going to talk through them because what does it come down to? What do we have Sunday on the session last Sunday? What did we speak about? Tons of questions. What did we talk about for about 30 minutes? And if you missed the session, please go back and watch. We talked about price action. You guys remember price action? When we're starting to see those staircases up on the 5-minute chart, when we're starting to see those green candles, and I'm going to show you examples, when we start to see those hourly candles start to perk up a bit, when we start to see that consolidation base forming, we start to see rips, higher and higher highs, lower and lower, higher and higher lows, right? We're starting to see that formation. And then we get the squeeze, 1 or 2%, 3% candle. On a day like today, as I mentioned, today is what I call Lotto Friday, which means there's an expiration every Friday for option contracts. Today was an expiration. Therefore, you can potentially buy a put or a call for very cheap on today. And if the stock moves a lot in either direction, you could make hundreds of percentages, especially in a large cap. I was making 100% on coin calls within maybe 5 to 7 minutes time. Any 1-2% spikes, I was just selling it. And I was buying the dips, selling the rips. And I'm going to show you the chart exactly where I did it to the T, to the penny. First off, I want to talk about global markets actually, you know what? Let's dive into the trades today, and then let's talk about technical global market analysis. We're going to go through the SPY, go through just the SPY, and then we're going to get Q&A. So have your pen and paper ready. Let's do some Q&A because this is a great week to reflect on. Monday, we opened up gapping down 4 or 5% in the indexes. Everything was down 10% plus on the stocks. I mean, I thought we were going to circuit break. So we'll talk through that. So let's talk through today. We started with QQQ. Let's talk through coin first. We'll go through Coinbase Global. As many know, I've been very bullish on this name. I think this is overdone. Everyone's shorting the Cathie Wood stock. Everyone's late shorting the Cathie Wood stock. Everyone's late shorting the Cathie Wood stock. What I mean by that is everyone's trying to short what's already dead. Everything's down 70-80%, and everyone's still trying to hammer the shorts. And it gives me a little recipe of hope. If everyone's shorting it, gives me a recipe of I think we could see a cap-bound squeeze, maybe 10-20% on some of these names in the short term. So, I'm positive on Coinbase. I also think they're making a ton of money on the volatility of Bitcoin, Ethereum. People are probably paying an insane amount of fees to buy and sell and scalp this. So I think they're making a lot of money. I think they could potentially have a blowout quarter. There's a ton of analysts big on this one. Goldman, B of A. I mean, it goes down the list. One of Cathie Wood's top holding, who's obviously under a lot of scrutiny right now and sort of getting bashed, and I think it's a little overdone. I agree with some of the CNBC guys. I think it's a little overdone here, especially overdue for a bounce on some of these names that are just down 70-80, especially the good ones. There's a lot of good names that got dragged in there. I mean, there's a lot of garbage, a Peloton. Zoom's not garbage. Zoom's a good company, but that's been dragged down. DraftKings been dragged down. I mean, there's a lot of garbage ones, right? But there's a lot of really good companies that have just been trading at way far less valuations than obviously, we should be at. Anyway, so Coinbase going to talk through the 5-minute chart, where I took position and why. And I think it's vital, or at least very helpful for the new traders to understand this, because when you're a new trader, you want to learn, right? Entries and exits are the hardest thing as a new trader, right? And maybe stop losses too, and we could talk through that on this trade. So this morning, out of the gates, 9:30 bell, bing, 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 bing. Market sort of dumps. Everyone takes profits right at the bell thing. It could be another big red day. Okay, I didn't touch Coinbase because I was playing QQQ from around here on this candle. QQQ and Coin have similar charts, and then the ARK fund is almost an identical chart to this chart. So anyway, we saw QQQ start to bounce. I saw Coin. I had Coin on the tape. I had 8 monitors going. I had Coin on the tape up here. Didn't take a position. Nope, didn't take a position. I thought maybe it would sell up here and then sell see new lows. Didn't see it. Where I entered Coinbase, we were up already 4% of the day, and everyone's probably saying, Spud, you're up 4% on a Friday. It's a mega cap tech, it's a large cap tech stock. QQQ's flying, but 4%, that's a big move, profit taking, right? And I'm thinking, my thesis today, guys, my whole thesis was QQQ. What I mean by that is everything in the QQQ that holds that thing up. Apple reported really big numbers. They're up, they're gapping up. That alone brings the QQQ up, right? So there can't be too much selling pressure because Apple's a big part of that index, a big heavyweight, right? So I'm thinking investor sentiment, okay, maybe shorts say, okay, shorts are up 20, 30% on some of these names in like 2 weeks. Any smart hedge funds, any big money managers that are up that much money in 2-3 weeks on the downside, I suspect there's a lot of liquidity going to cover up. Maybe they cover half the shorts. We start to see that into close today. Tons of buying. I think that was a lot of short covering because people are just up so much on the downside that, like, why would you not be greedy, right? Same thing on the upside, right? It goes both ways. So when I saw Coin today start to gap up, I'm thinking, okay, ARK funds heavily shorted. This name could pop back up to the 180s, 190s. And so, we're at $1.69 here. So I started buying Coin right here, really late. And you're probably going to say, whoa, that's really late for a Friday. It was late. It was a risk. I saw the big candle. I think this got higher. This could hit 175, 180 at this point. So we almost hit 175. I bought this dip on calls right in here. I loaded calls about 173 and I alerted it, right? At 173, I started adding 180 calls. I added small there, small there. All of a sudden, this thing rips up a 1.5, another 1.2. That's about 2.75. Then another almost 1. That's like a 4% move, guys, in 15 minutes. This is a 5-minute chart. Do you know what a 4% move in 15 minutes does on a Friday contracts? That's like a 200% move on options. So I bought the 180s. All of a sudden, those contract premiums started flying out of the gates. I bought them at 1, ran at 280. I sold them low 2s. I think 210 was my sell price. Guess what happened? I then got back in. I waited another 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 minutes. Got back in. I start to see the QQQ start to take a dip. I start to see buying QQQ. All of a sudden, I take a Coinbase call. Bang! Right up in here. I sell right up in here. 10 minutes later, I sell for another 100%. 10 minutes later, 100% on the contracts. Scalp for another $9,000. So those are 2 trades right there for approximately probably between $17,000, $18,000 to $22,000 for me on my net liquidity right there. 2 green trades right off the morning. This was post AMD QQQ. But what do I talk about every time, team? Price action. Let's talk about price action on Coin. What happened on Coin? Candle up, 3 candles, okay? 2 or 3 down, but they're not big down, right? We're then retesting the lows of the big candle, right? Previous candle. Great. Then we bounce back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles. Okay, then we get a small minor pullback, profit taking. Then we see bang, 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 more buying come back in. So, right, we're seeing staircase, consolidate, staircase, consolidate, staircase, consolidate, rip. Now we start selling, consolidate. Markets start to sell off. Everything starts to sell off. Then we see the big bounce on the markets. Bounce. Profit. Consolidate. Rip into close. Make sense? Right? You're going to see the same trend on other names. Let's go to AMD. Now, why did I alert AMD? I was hawking this one all morning. I saw a lot of fluctuation price action. And the reason, guys, I alerted AMD, which ended up, oh my God, it's closed at 105. I was alerting this thing at 99, 100 range. Wow. It's probably a 300-400% move on contracts. Jeez Louise. So this was a big one. Why did I say this, right? 9:30 bell comes in. It had a huge candle roar all the way up to 103.50. This can't even see it. Look, it's just a wick because it got slams right on the 5-minute there. So I'm like, whoa, there was a ton of buying on AMD right out of the gate. I mean, big buying, 4 million shares. So I'm like, whoa, okay, this could be the strong name for the day. Then it starts to sell off. Then I start to see QQQ bottoming. So I said, you know what? This price action could be strong. Guess what? I didn't get in here. Where I did get in, though, is right in here. Why did I get in here? Because I saw this price action, this big candle. And I'm like, whoa, this has range today. This candle just beat up one candle, went higher than the last 7 candles combined it already made new highs on these 7 candles. So that to me screams Spud. That's strong price action. How do we get a piece of this? Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ride and dip. I'm going to buy some 105 calls expiration today that are way out of the money, and I'm going to try and scalp this up. So I bought right in here on this dip, right in here about 101-ish, 101.20 I think I bought. So the bottom of this wick, very bottom, right there. I'm going to get rid of the indicators for you guys so you guys can see a little bit easier. I apologize. So the bottom of this wick here, at the time is above VWAP, so that's good play. It was above VWAP at the time. So I basically bought above VWAP a rejection. And then what happened was I sold my calls right in here. And guess what? I didn't rebuy that dip because I didn't know, the QQQ then ripped a full percentage from like red to green. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't trust it up here. And then obviously it ripped to newer highs. And that's when I think I saw people in the Discord group being like, oh my God, I just turned, I think something like someone said they made 25K on AMD calls today. Awesome. They started 250. I think they ran a 750 premium. So that's 200% in like a span of an hour. So you tripled your account in the span of an hour. So that was a crazy move today. Then it sort of consolidated. It was kind of dead money on those calls all day, unless you probably bought in here the bottom of the rip and then just absolutely went bananas into close. But that's another right action, right? Why did I alert this? Because I saw the price action on this name was very strong in a red down day, right? This name's also been beat up on the daily chart, right? This name's been beat up, as many tech names have been. Right? So beat up, big flag, big candle flag there. And then we saw just sort of some covering today. It was down 7% yesterday, open up down 2% today. So, that's and then another 4% here. So that's a 14, 15% drawdown in 4 days. A lot of people, right? You have to understand these shorts are up tons and tons of money. So a lot of that buying today could have been covering, right? But for a long, weekend ahead, no one knows what's going to happen, right? So, that was the AMD price action. I thought it was bullish price action. It showed it was bullish price action, finished 2.5%, which is big for this big, large. This is a mega cap. And 2% move on a Friday equates to hundreds of percentages on the contracts on the options. So that was AMD. So we've discussed coin, AMD. Now I want to discuss our second topic of the day is SPY. A lot of people are saying, Spud, where the market's going to go? I don't really know. I can only predict based on what's happened throughout history in the last couple of decades, what's also being presented to me on the technicals. I want to walk through SPY technicals. We're going to look at the weekly chart, guys. Okay? Why are we sort of consolidating around these levels? Monday, we got the big flush. Okay? Where are we? About 425 is bottom. Support here. 425 bottom wick, 425 bottom wick, 420, it's all the way around the 421, close enough. 425, it seems to be the bottom for now. That's the first level, I call it the first level support. See this trend here? All up in here. And that goes all the way back to 2021 in July, right? Now, if we start to break under 420, this is when I go big perma bear, because then we're in big bear market, and we probably could see a walk down all the way to 378. 378, maybe 385. 385 is actually my end goal on the SPY. 385 is when I think you should be loading a lot of good names for long term, like heavy. And that's when I would like to put my serious cash to work. Anything around 385. So I think 385 is a great time to go long if you're a long-term 5-10 year horizon investor. That's where I'd like to go long. And I'd love to see that blowout happen over the next couple weeks or months. Don't know if we're going to get it because the bulls are holding this pretty strong here at 430. And you saw the move today. We're finished 442 here. That's a big, big finish. But everyone's saying, okay, guess what? Did you know, guys? Fun fact. The largest bounces happen, the biggest move bounces happen in a bear market. Because people are over-exaggerating, saying, oh my God, everything's down so big. It must be a great buy opportunity. When in theory, we could see slams to lower lows. And I'm going to show you what happened in 2015, 7 years ago, and then 2018. Does history repeat itself? Okay? Let's look at 2015. Okay, I'm zooming in on the chart. Okay, this is when the Fed got a little aggressive on some rates. They started talking about Fed hikes, right? Down 5%. This is a weekly chart, keep in mind. Down 3%. So that's about an 8% downwards move, right? Consolidate. Then buyers came back in, right? They bought it all up. We start to see a move over the next couple of weeks. Then we see a slam back down to new lower lows. Now, these lows kind of held. I would say those lows kind of held. That would be a 2014, 15. That would be a multi-year support here. That held. But now if we go to 2018, you're going to notice that didn't hold. And what I mean by that is now we're in 2018, right? We saw a big correction in 2018. That's about an 8% drawdown in the SPY. We saw it. Then we saw another volatility drawdown. Then we see trickling buyers start to slowly come in, bring it all the way back up above where the selling started, which is great. Every bull thinks they're in control. Now the markets are roaring. And then, bam, the blowout comes 4 or 5 months later. We then see new lows, 254, all the way down to 235. It's another 5% drawdown. So when people are saying, I think we could see another 5 or 10% drawdown on the SPY, easily. Now, are we saying another 10, 20%? That would be like full-on recession. That wouldn't be correction. That would be recession for me. Yes, I know people are going to say, well, the Fed, every time they've done these hikes, leads to a recession. Yes, that's what history has said. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know. We very well could be if these freaking inflation costs continue higher. I mean, you go to the grocery store and pay $100 for 2 items. It's absolutely insane. But I don't know. I don't know where we're going to go. But if I'm going to look long-term, guys, on the SPY, these are your supports. I like the 385. I like the 404. The last stop for me, if we go like crazy bear mode, like full-on perma bear, would be like 350. That would be like really bearish. Like if Russia-Ukraine stuff starts to happen, like things could definitely get ugly from here. But right now we're at a good sort of settling point. Maybe for now, for the next couple days, maybe a couple weeks, but I do suspect we're going to retest those lows. And if those 421 lows do not hold, I think we're going to see a garbage can or a toilet flush to 385, 404 zones. I just think we'll see immediate 3 to 5% pullback. That's just what I'm seeing. I think bulls would give up and say I could get much lower, and the stop losses will start to hit, and all of a sudden you'll start to see liquidity dry up, and we could get down there. But keep in mind, this is where we are now. And just, this is what I'm looking at day to day. I'm monitoring this on a nightly basis before I go to bed. I'm monitoring this on a weekly basis. Where do we close on Fridays? Because I think we could trickle back up, and then 450, 460. Hopefully it hits that. I can just slam. I can load long-term puts again, and then sell the bigger downside move. That's my theory on what's going to happen. I have no clue if that's actually going to come through fruition, but that is what I think is going to happen. Okay. So that's my theory, SPY. Great close on the bulls, great cap bounce, much needed to close out this, as I like to say, excuse my language, shitty trading week for many. But there was a great trading week for us. We had a ton of volatility and great setups to play. So I'm going to go now to my Q&A session. Let's get talking. Is it talking about price action? Is it talking about options? Is it talking about small caps? Let's get to the price action. I know many have questions. Start to shoot the questions in the comment section below on live YouTube comments here. We have 87 viewers. Definitely a smaller session today. It's Friday, and I expected that. But if you guys have some questions, I'll do my best to try and answer some. With what we can do. So shoot away, guys, in the comment section. I know it's a little bit lagged, and I'll get to as many questions as I possibly can. What's up? Yep, Derek, thank you. Yes, it was a very good day. What software do you use? Finding Freestyle, what software do you use, and how do you set up to see what you want to see? So I use a couple scanners, but I haven't been using the scanners as of late because those scanners are mainly for small caps and then big, large liquidity flush outs. So the scanners I use, you could use FinViz, you could use Webull Top Gainers, and then if you have a lot of money and you're doing trading full time, I highly recommend Trade Ideas. Big algorithmic, a lot of robotic trading being done, great signals there. So I'd look at Trade Ideas. I think they run promotions as well. I have an account. I don't really use it much, guys. When small caps are hot and they pick up like the last couple years, that's probably when I'll start to use those scanners. In terms of software, I use Fidelity as a brokerage, Webull as a brokerage. I've had a bunch of different brokerages. I like primarily these two. Fidelity for my sort of safer IRA stuff, Webull for my day trading stuff. Hopefully that's helpful. In terms of software, though, I have CNBC on all day long. I have a lot of things running, but there's a lot of tools you can use for stuff. Gap down scanners, gap up scanners. There's a lot of that stuff that exists already pre-built into Trade Ideas or FinViz, stuff like that. Hopefully that helps. Dulu Dealy, how do you set up VWAP parameter? I'm using Thinkorswim. There should be like an indicator button up there where you can add your indicator, and then you can just add VWAP, and it should come up on all your charting. I would just probably Google that or YouTube that, Duo. I'm sure there's people that use Thinkorswim that just quickly do a tutorial. But it should just be like an indicator add-on. What time frame are you watching for scalps? Alex Fusella. Alex Fusella, mainly I trade off of 5 minutes. 95% of the time I'm trading off a 5-minute chart. Why do I like 5 minutes? People ask, why do you trade off the 5-minute candlestick over a 3-minute candlestick or a 1-minute candlestick? Because 5-minute gives me a better grasp on price action. And you know me, guys, I'm big on price action. I don't care if it stock's up 500%. I don't care if it stock's up 2%. If the price action's strong, I'm going to take a position. I know people could be like, oh, stock's up 200%, but guess what? It could be up 300% in an hour, only because the price action's so strong. Sort of like that DWAC when everyone was buying at 12, 13, 14 bucks. Did I know it was going to run the 180? No. Did I sell at 14, 15 for 50% gains? Of course, but no one knows that the price action was strong. That's why I took a position at, I think it was 11 bucks a share. So that's what happens, right? When that price action is strong, I look to get in. So what time frames are you using? I think 5-minute best suits me. I think it best suits a lot of traders. Every trader is obviously different, but the reason I like 5 minutes is because you can really grasp. 1 minute's too fast because it could be one huge buy and then just a ton of trickle sells. It could be a huge seller and then all of a sudden, 5-minute gives you a better grasp. 10, 15-minute gives you a better opportunity when you're trying to swing trade like options or swing trade shares. I like the 15 minutes. When you're doing long-term swings, 1 hour chart and daily chart is sort of what I use for that. Hopefully that's helpful. Finding freestyle. Another question. Top 3 reasons your followers may lose money on calls you profit. Not sure what that means, but maybe stop losses are keeping too tight. So if you're keeping your stop losses too tight, you could stop out. I've stopped out on a lot of plays. That happens. With the liquidity right now in the markets, there's so much liquidity freestyle that you can get in and out of plays. There are billions and billions and billions of dollars being traded on some of these large cap names. I mean, you're seeing some of these large cap names gain 5, 10, 15 billion dollars overnight and losing that value overnight. So you're seeing a ton of liquidity in and then out. So those contracts are super volatile, and super liquidity. They have a lot of liquidity, which is great. So those are the trades I'm sticking to, freestyle, and those would be some of the reasons I'd probably say you can lose on puts or calls. Sort of based on maybe stop losses or your mitigating risk parameters or whatever it may be. You have to be able to sort of stomach a 10, 20% move in options. Or you have to be able to stomach when to sell, right? You can't hold some of these plays forever, especially on Lotto Friday. Monday, Tuesday, when you're playing weekly expirations, you could take losses on that. But I don't know. I wouldn't say what are my top 3 reasons you can lose money on the calls I profit on. A lot of them are running 100, 200, 300, 400, 700%. So I'm not really sure what you mean by that question. Maybe if you want to clarify below, I'll get to your question later again. Shane Miller, Spud, are you looking at the rate hike futures and correlating it to the market? I am. I think there's a lot. I think there's 4 or 5 rate hikes already priced into the market now. I think it's pretty aggressive to say we're going to see 7, 8, 9. I saw B of A come out with 7 hikes today. I think that's aggressive. If they move that fast, I'm a little concerned we might get into a recession. I don't think we're potentially going to see 7 hikes this year. If we do, I think we're going to head a lot lower. But anything can happen. If inflation continues lower, we could see that. But yes, I am correlating. I think that's already priced in. Hopefully that helps. What else do we got? What else? Next question. Shane Miller. Motorhead Dave, do you use the Greeks for options or is that all noise? The first thing I look at when I buy an option, put or call, the first thing I look at is the IV, okay? The implied volatility. If the implied volatility is above 100 or 120, 120 is my threshold. Anything above that, you need a serious move up or down for those contract premiums to pay off. So anything around below 100 is like really good. You can make a ton of percentage on the volatility. Okay, anything like 200 plus is like shy away from, because that means you need like a monster move just to make money. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not really using the Greeks too much. Obviously, there's this decay model on options and puts. You lose contract value every day that contract is still open. So my always suggestion, and this is how I play it, if your move happens quickly on those contracts, for example, MSTR puts, right? Stocks at 390, 385, 388, 373, 377. I'm alerting 315 puts next Friday expiration. Why am I doing 315? That's where the stock dropped to on Monday. That's where earnings potentially could bring us back down to. And that's where the markets were saying it potentially could go. Now, we hit 315 this morning. Am I going to be greedy or am I going to lock those gains? It hit my price target in 1.5 days, 10 to 15% downside. Those contracts ran 150 to 180%, right? I'm not going to be greedy. I'm going to sell into my strength because that's where the support was at 315. So now I sold. It pops 4, 5, 6% today, the stock. I'm already out of it. Then I get an opportunity next week to buy those same puts next week for a scalp, maybe back down again. So with options, you don't want to be greedy because if your move happened, you're predicting a move to go up or down in that particular stock or index, right? If your move happens quickly, within hours or days or a week, right, on the longer term expirations, you want to sell into strength, right? It's what I teach all the members, all the students. If a penny stock's running to the moon right now, when's the best time to sell? You want to sell the spikes. You want to sell when it's coming down. You want to sell when that puppy's going up. So hopefully that's helpful. Motorhead Dave. I kind of went on a rant there. That was obviously a longer rant than just, hey, do you use the Greeks for options and all that noise? Apologize. No, but it kind of all ties together. Sunny Gadgets reviews Spud. I bought some SPY puts at the end of the day and it started pumping. Not sure if that's a question or not. Yeah, market, it was a short squeeze into close. Think some shorts covering their gains. He expects the best way to scale in option contracts. If you're trading weeklies or monthlies or whatever you're trading on the contracts, Jeremy, I like to buy. If you're bullish, you want to be buying big dips. You want to be buying big dips on contracts. If you're bearish, you want to be trying to sell spikes, right? So it sort of goes hand in hand there. That's when you want to be scaling in. Dabble, and then sell the rip, right? Or sell the dump. Are you still looking at MSTR after earnings? Or are you directly going off Bitcoin's price action? From my research, Cameron Harger, I think MSTR is going to have a bad quarter earnings because I believe from the SEC rule, they have to report their Bitcoin losses for shareholders. And therefore, Bitcoin's dropped 50% this year already. And so if they have to show that as a loss, how is the quarter going to be good? Now, yeah, keep in mind, smart money will know that, hey, it's just their Bitcoin loss, so it could just recover from the dump. But I think there's a good opportunity for MSTR on the short side. I'm probably going to try some lotto puts next week. I do think that there's more downside to this name, to the 280s. I do like puts, but as I mentioned, it did hit my first price target, and it happened fast. It dropped 15% from my alert, fast. So I didn't want to take that opportunity. I made $4,000 off a $2,000 investment. I didn't, it's a small account for me. I'm trying to build it up. So I don't want to be greedy, but I will probably dabble 1 or 2K, maybe 3 or 4 or 5K in the larger account for the downside, more downside next week. And that is in not correlation to the Bitcoin price action or whatever happens on the weekend. I'm just thinking earnings may be bad this quarter. That is how I play it. Now, they could rip 15, 20% after earnings. That'd be sick. But no, I think there's some downside, more potential downside on that name. Hence why I alerted a multi-week short idea. Shorts are already up 15% on the shares. Alex Ting, how about mRNA? Moderna, I think, has been blown out of the water. I alerted puts at 350. I had no clue it would go to 150 7-8 weeks later. We're just down 70% from those, 50% from those highs. Moderna is sort of a shot in the dark for me. I don't. Maybe there's a technical bounce. I haven't watched it all this week. I don't know what's going on there. The COVID stuff has sort of died out a little bit. There's people are talking about Russia, Ukraine. People are talking about interest rates. So that sort of momentum sort of lost its place. But Moderna does have a ton of cash from selling all the vaccines. So I don't know. There could be a potential balance in that name, unless I see a catalyst potentially ahead. I'm not really focusing or watching that. Justin Corman, bullish or bearish next week? Justin, I think it's gonna be more volatile next week. Not more. I think it's gonna be volatility again, up and down, up and down. I don't foresee, just a clear direction in the next 6 to 8 weeks. If you want to be frank, that's just my opinion. I think it's gonna be a trader's market. It's gonna be a trader's Q1. Q1's a trader's market right now. Q2 will probably be a trader's market. Q3, Q4 might be an investing market when sort of some of the investments in Q1 are starting to pay off some premiums. So I think we're a big trader's market. When you're up big, sell. When you're down big, I don't know what to do when you're down big. Stop loss out or, average down. I don't know. There's a ton of opportunities, ways you could play that. But I always like to cut my losses quick. I've taken big losses, 6-figure losses in the past. I like to cut my losses quick because sometimes I know that could continue going lower. So that's sort of how I play that stuff. Is IWM is IWM JN is IWM going to follow your expected short-term movements on the SPX going into next week? JN, I'm not sure. I don't really keep up with the IWM. I know a lot of sort of index funds, mutual funds, they follow that. I am not caught up to date, so do not have an educated opinion on that or an idea on that. Sonny's Gadget, should I have exited right away and bought call? What was the right time to do when the play goes either way? So Sonny, this comes back down to my lesson on stop loss. Sonny, can you go to your car and turn on your car without your car keys? That's the analogy I like to use. I know people laugh at that one. You can't drive without a car key. I know people are going to be like, oh, I have a Tesla. I can operate it without a car key. But no, cool. The average human who drives a normal car has a key, right? Or a swab, right? That turns the car or powers the engine and we turn on and we go. For trading, that's a stop loss for me. I cannot enter a trade without putting a stop loss. It's basically saying you can take all my money and I'll be okay with it. I use a stop loss because that protects my capital. If my stop loss gets hit, I at least protect a percentage of my capital, whether that's trading high-risk calls, whether that's entering a small cap. Once you learn how to use a stop loss, once you have this, it's going to save you a ton of capital. It's going to maximize more of your wins, right? So if the stock's riding up and you're in it, what do? I move my stop loss higher because if it dumps on me, at least I protect my initial investment and I don't go lower than that. Or if it hits my stop loss, I stop loss out with profits if I'm moving my stop loss up. You do the same in option contracts too. This higher it goes, you keep slowly moving up your options, maybe 10%, 20%, 30%. Okay, boom, my stop loss gets hit, I lock 30% profits. What's the big deal? At least you walked away with making money. So that's sort of how I would like to, that's how I play. So Sonny's Gadget Reviews, hopefully that tip is helpful. Definitely write that down. Monty Boo, how do you think the market will be in March after Fed hikes? I just talked, Monty Boo, I just talked through the market SPY sentiment. Definitely scroll back previous in the video. Just rewind. Any long-term option plays? Pablo, I'm watching FCX, Coin, Apple, but Apple, I won't get a pullback. But if I do get any type of 5-10% pullback on Apple, I will go long-term calls. I like FCX. I like Coinbase. There's a few other names I'm watching. I like IBM. They got a lot of cash on hand. It was a good quarter. Their dividends 4 to 5%. So you can make 5% just by sitting cash in the stock for the year. And 5% in this kind of year seems like a freaking awesome kind of play, if you ask me. So I'm looking at those dividend names. Chevron's too high for me. But those long-term option names, I like IBM. They just had a good earnings. They had a good earnings report. It didn't get much love because I think people are just on high alert right now. I do like IBM on pullbacks. If I get one big pullback, I'll load long calls probably. I like those. But keep in mind, keep an eye on the 9 to 5 long swing trades in the Discord channel. I do post my long trades there, multi-month, multi-week, multi-month, multi-year. He's a scanner for options. I do not. Ask Harmony Trades in the Discord. He's our options guru. He may use a scanner. Earnings run for Facebook. I think earnings probably pretty solid. I don't know if they got hit with any fines, but Facebook's a solid company. I think they're trading well under what they should be trading at, but so is everything else. How much do you prefer strategy for taking profits? How much do you like to let ride? Do you usually scale into position? Yeah, I scale a little bit. Options, I kind of just buy right away, though. If it's shares, I try and scale on dips. Taking profits, I just talked through that. I'll start to sell 50, 60, 75% of a position, especially on options. I'll let 25% ride. But typically in these markets, Eric, I'm selling when my price targets get hit, Eric, because to be honest, Eric, these markets are so volatile. You don't know if things are going to be up 2% green or down 5% on the day right now. So I'm really not scaling out. I'm just selling rips. And until that market changes, this is not the market we were in 2020 where everyone buys the dip and we just continue higher. This is a sell the rip market right now. People are on edge. People are selling any green they can possibly get. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on. Do you set mental stop losses? No, Tony. I'm firm on stop losses. Options, I'm firm 20% on the high volatility options. Small caps, I'm putting 5-10% on shares, and I'm pretty strict on it. If I get hit, I'll try maybe to get in lower, or I'll be done with that play. I'm not a mental stop loss. It hits 10%. Then it goes down 15%. Then I'm like trying to average shares, and again now I'm down 8%. No, I'm not doing that. I just cut my losses. I look for another either entry or I'm done with that trade, done with that name. The higher the time frame, the better, more validation. But with this correction, my long bags have been absolutely wiped out. Its gains are now in the red major. Would it be best to sell the whole portfolio and restart for a bounce? Obviously, I can't give advice. I'm not a financial advisor or anything, but it does come back to what risk you can have in the market. What's your appetite for risk? Are you able to survive if you sold for losses to restart? It comes down to you personally. What's your goals? What's your growth? So that's obviously your decision. Obviously, I can't give any advice on buying, selling, or anything like that. I just give my ideas on what I'm trading, guys. And that's sort of what I do daily. So that's obviously your decision. What is Shane Miller, nothing but chop. Okay. Why do you think Bitcoin is 5 follow? I just think Bitcoin's now looked at as a security. People are trading Bitcoin like a security, like an index, as of now. Everyone started talking about, it's an inflation hedge, blah, 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 blah. If it's an inflation hedge, why is Bitcoin down 50% in like 6 weeks? I mean, why are we down 50% from 60K in like 10 weeks? If it was an inflation hedge, we wouldn't be down 50%. We'd probably be down 20% and still green. So I think that's all nonsense. I think now Bitcoin's starting to trade like the SPY, like the QQQs. So we'll see if it breaks out of the pattern or it starts to rip higher without the indexes. Great, that's a great sign for all crypto. But until then, I'm going to trade it like it's an index. I'm going to look at it like it's an index. What happened to FCX? There's a copper shortage. I think that's some of what to do with it. Earnings were good. They weren't amazing, but they may have been priced in. The run was pretty high. I do like FCX. There's a ton of whale activity on the call side. I do like FCX for this year. I think copper, silver, gold, I think they all have potential to have breakout years. Do I use trailing stop losses? Anthony Civitello. I do not often. No. I normally just move my stop loss off manually because I like to trade with like a feel. And I'll remove my stop loss if I think that we're going to keep going higher, just in case my stop loss does hit. So I'm more of a feeler, and that comes back to, excuse me, Anthony Civitello, that comes back to price action, right? When the price action is strong, Anthony, I like to visualize that, right? So if I don't want to use a trailing because if there's a random volatility candle down, on the index, 0.10%, 0.20%, all of a sudden that's 20, 30% on a contract, I stop out, even though I know the price action is still strong, So I don't usually use trailing stops. I like to use firm hard stops and sort of move and fluctuate with that manually on my screens. Hopefully that's helpful. Breeze Star, that's just obviously, Anthony, that's how I trade. Obviously everyone has different, people use trailing all the time. Do I use a stop loss on low float stocks? Norris Ramirez. Oh yes, I do. When I used to go in size small caps, 100, 200K positions, if you don't have a stop loss, you can lose 30% on that 50, 60K within minutes, seconds. Low float stocks, I have stop losses, especially on liquidity stocks. So that's, I'll use that. I'll use that. So I'll use that stop loss all the time. Breeze Star tested the 2MA and bounce. You think it will continue up? I think Tesla will bounce. They did have a really good quarter, but as I said again, I think the valuation was just way too high. I think the expectations were just too high. The valuation's $1 trillion. I just think this thing needs a little bit of readjustment, and we sort of saw that readjustment, the 13% drawdown in 2 days. People are a little bit hesitant holding that kind of valuation in a year if the Fed's going to rate hike this many times. Because people are going to say, how can Tesla be this profitable a year from now, 2 years from now, if the valuation's that high. But it's obviously a very volatile stock, and I think it will continue to be volatile over the next couple months and quarters. Let's see. Vinay Patil. How do you select strike and expiration? Good question. If you're looking for like a swing trade on options, or if you're expecting a larger move up or down in that particular equity or index, if you want to, you don't know when the move will come, but you want to swing. You could buy like multiple weeks out or like a couple months out. That would be the safer option play. Anything on the weeklies is super volatile, and with this kind of volatility, you can make a lot or lose a lot. That's why stop losses are pretty vital. So Vinay, that's how I would select the strike and expiration based on when you think that move may occur. So, if you're expecting the QQQ to blast off into close like we saw today, right? We're not going to want to do that. So, we're not going to want to maybe take today expiration, maybe want to do a couple days out, a couple weeks out. The shorter, the better in terms of percentage gains, right? But the longer, the safer, with the time decay, et cetera, like that. So like if I'm trying to time the market bottom, right, for maybe a cap bounce, some of these rips on these oversold 70, 80% names, right, I'm going to be looking for maybe like 2 months out, call a month out, 2 months, because that gives me time. If I don't time the bottoms right, I only maybe lose 10, 20, 30%. But if I time the bottoms right, I can maybe make 50 to 100%, right? So it's all about sort of that mitigating that risk. Today was a pure lotto day, and I was just playing lotto contracts all day. Afra Zaman, what is your advice on how to use your options ideas to trade intraday equity due to the wider risk in options? Thank you. Cheers. What is your advice on how to use your options ideas to trade intraday equity due to the wider risk? I trade options how I would with equity. So I'm looking for support dips. I'm looking for peaks, double tops, triple tops where I can maybe short back down. I'm using the same way I would trade shares is the same way how I would trade options. Now it does come in as I just mentioned with the IV, the implied volatility, things like that. That kind of stuff can happen. So it is tricky. But as I mentioned, the longer term out, the less volatility, the less risk that you have in those contracts. How many years have you been trading for? I've been full time for a little over 2 or 3 years now. I traded actually IPOs back in college when I had no money, hundreds of dollars. That's when I full started my trading. I was a major in economics and a minor in business at some of the top universities in the country. So that's sort of my background there. I've traded on and off. I've had other obviously full-time gigs here in New York, but I've been trading full-time for quite some time. So I've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen. I've been long for a lot of times. I was a part-time trader for a long time, and then full-time was my calling back in early 2020, 2019. So that's when I started full-time trading. Shane Miller, blah, 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 blah. Let's see what do we got. Missed 850 calls for Tesla. They went to 750 puts and it cost me. Yeah, we just talked through Tesla. As I said, Tesla's super volatile right now. Shane Miller, you think it's easier to start at 25K or lower? I have like an IRA at like 7K. I started at $3,500 2 weeks ago. Actually, no, a week and a half ago. I actually just moved it over to Webull. I've doubled my IRA in 2 weeks, $3,500. So I am running a small account right now. On the IRA. I didn't use it at all so far this week. I traded it on last week on some contracts on the QQQ. But no, I have not traded my IRA, but I do want to trade more. I just need to be a little bit more risk averse to the IRA because, you can only put so much money to an IRA per year. I think, what is it, $3,500, $3,800, $4,200? I don't know, whatever it is for the working person. Somewhere in that where that's the max contribution you could put for your IRA. So I do want to grow my IRA slowly because that is tax-free money after 60 years old, 59 years old, or 58 and a half, whatever it is. So it's really important to grow IRAs. And I think if I can maybe grow my IRA 7K to like 100, 200, 300, 400, 500K over a multi-year period, that's phenomenal, right? So I'm going to try and maybe trade on that a little bit more. I have other IRAs that I'm using I've turned 50 to 100K in about 8 weeks time now. I have another day trade account. So I have a lot of accounts, a lot of different capital I'm working with right now, all on the smaller side though. As I said, I took out 7 figures. I'm starting small. These markets, I don't trust these markets for big money right now. So I'm starting small, building through that. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, guys. So that was a great session. It's been almost 45 minutes, almost an hour actually. I'm going to cut it off here. I hope this has been really helpful. This is great. Hopefully this is super helpful. I love you guys. Thanks so much for sort of stopping in, asking great questions. I'm going to continue to be there to coach, teach, and trade every day. I'm working around the clock, 20 hours a day, trying to find great plays. Obviously, I'm here in New York. I'm trading all the time. I'm seeing what's going on. There's a ton of things going on in the market. So be what's the word I'm looking for? Be mindful of what's going on in the global markets as well, right? That does affect the indexes, the equities. So I appreciate everyone's questions. Thanks so much. Have an awesome weekend. I really appreciate it. I got to go tend to a crazy freaking puppy. In the other room is going absolute nut job over there. So I'm going to go see her. I'm going to crack open a beer. Have a great weekend. Any feedback, please put in the Discord. If you are not subscribed to the Discord and you are a free follower right now coming from Webull or StockTwits or anything like social media, like check out the Discord. We have almost 20,000 members. Come check us out. We have tons of options, tons of small caps, tons of everything, and thousands of testimonials. There's no secret sauce to this, but there's hardcore studying, and I'm here every day giving it my all, giving what I think is going to potentially happen in real time. So take that with a grain of salt. Hope you guys are doing well, trading well. Let's have a great year. It's a trader's year. This could be breakout years for many people in their accounts. So let's stay focused. Let's have a great weekend, and I will see you all Sunday for the watch list. Thanks so much, guys. Cheers. Have an awesome weekend.